Suprabhatam friends, welcome to my channel Plants and Me. This is Dr. Sridevi from Mangaluru, Karnataka, India. Today I would be doing a video on how to grow cuttings. Sometimes there is a big tree, you find it very beautiful and you want to have it in your garden. So some plants can be propagated by cuttings. You just take a stem cutting of the plant and then stick it into the pot. In general, the plant has got this instinct for survival, so any cutting you take and stick it into the pot, it will definitely root and it will develop into a plant. It will develop its own roots and then put out branches and develop into a plant. But we can help the plant to survive by going about a few steps. So this is a cutting which my husband brought. It's a plant which grows on roadside. It has got beautiful light pink flowers. It is called as Ipomia carnea. Belongs to the morning glory family. Now this is about 2 feet cutting. So the first step will be to cut this into 1 foot long pieces. This is the flower, it has wilted. So why do we cut into 1 foot long pieces of the stem? Because it will reduce the stress on the plant. Small pieces will require less energy of the plant. A long plant stem would require lots of energy and the plant will find it difficult to catch up with the needs of this stem cutting. So how to select a stem for cutting? Usually you have to select a plant which is like this, brownish to greenish, and it should be about your index finger thickness. This is called as a soft wood stem because this is neither very brownish, it doesn't have a brown bark, and neither it is too soft, it is hard. So this is called as soft wood stem. So such a branch you have to select from the any plant which you want to have as a cutting and root it in your garden. So now later, after taking the cuttings, you need to give a cut just below the nodes of the plant, around half an inch or 1 inch. Now this is the node because the leaf is arising from this point, so this is the node. So I would be giving it a cut here, just about 1 inch to half an inch below. So I have sterilized this cutter. You need to sterilize the cutter with hydrogen peroxide. It is available in the chemist and druggist shop, even in the medical shop it is available. You need to sterilize so that any infection is there on these edges, that will be gone and the plant is safe, because already the plant is in stress, so you do not want the plant to get infected. So I am giving it a cut at this angle, around 45 degrees centigrade. I am going to cut it in this way, just below the node. Now why the cutting needs to be at this angle? When you stick it into the soil, potting soil, the whatever water you are pouring, that will just slide off. You see the stem, it is neither very much grown or nor too soft. So I have given this a cutting. Now I am going to take about 1 foot cutting. So I'll be cutting this stem into 2. It is around 2 feet, so I'll be cutting it into 2. So these are the 2 cuttings. Both of them I have cut at an angle about 45 degrees. Now after this I would be removing the leaves which are there at the node, because this will be going inside. So if these leaves also go inside, they may rot, and then the plant might be in trouble. So I am removing whatever is there, and this place will be free for rooting. So I have taken out, this is actually inflorescence, that also I am cutting. So I have freed the space at the node. Now with this same cutter I would be scraping this part. So I will try with one hand like this. You need to scrape. Don't scrape it too hard. Let the green part be there. So why do we do this scraping? This is just to initiate rooting in the stem. Because we are scraping, it's an injury. Already the plant stem, only this much I have removed. So already the plant stem wants to survive. That is the survival instinct of the plant. So when you scrape, it will induce rooting. So as it is, as an instinct for the plant to survive, rooting will anyway take place, but we have to carry out a few steps so that we aid the plant in rooting. Now these 2 cuttings I have scraped. Now after this I would be dipping these cuttings in honey, and then I would be sprinkling cinnamon powder. So I have taken a little bit of honey and I am dipping this cut end and the scraped portion also. Thoroughly I am dipping, and now I will keep it aside for 5 minutes so that this gets absorbed into the stem. Though the stem is cut, it is not yet dead, so the xylem and phloem, which are the conducting tissue of the plant, they are still working. So they will conduct this honey into the stem, and that is how the plant will get the extra auxins for producing the adventitious roots. Now I will be cutting this, keeping this cutting for 5 minutes. So after 5 minutes I am going to sprinkle the cinnamon powder on the cut end. This is the same leaf which I used earlier. Honey is still there. I can use it for other plants cuttings. So I will be pouring this cinnamon powder on this, and more so on the exposed area here. Or what you can do is, you can take the cuttings and dip it directly like this. Sprinkling also is good. Now after this, now see, the cut end are now protected with the cinnamon powder. I want to be more sure. Yes, now they are completely dipped in the cinnamon powder. Now I would be putting one cutting in this pot. This is around 5-inch pot. So selecting the pot is also very important. If we select a very big pot, it will retain too much water because so much of potting soil will be there in it. So it will retain too much of moisture. So that moisture might cause rotting of the stem, because through the cut end, though we are applying antifungal etc., through the cut end moisture might get retained, so the stem cutting might rot. So better take a smaller pot and put the cuttings. Later on, once it roots, then we can transfer it. So if you see, the potting mix is very well draining. It has got sand in it. This is the nursery garden mix which I brought from the nursery. So this is a pebble anyway. So now I have not added anything in this because the plant has to root first, then the roots should grow, then those grown roots will be able to absorb something from the soil. So I have not added anything to this potting mix. It is just the garden potting mix brought from the nursery. Now in this potting mix, I will be making a hole. You can make it with your fingers or you can take any instrument and make place for the cutting. Now there is another possibility of putting the cuttings. Just on this potting mix, you can take a cutting and just push through it. So take a cutting and push through it like this. So when we are pushing through this, whatever honey and cinnamon powder was there, that will get scraped off, rubbed off, and it will get mixed with this potting mix. So we do not want that. The plant will lose whatever we have put as a protection. So just make some place for the cutting, then keep it like this, and we should see to it that this node from where the roots will be developing, that should be inside the potting mix. So I have kept this and I am making sure that the node is inside the potting mix. I have kept it like this. I did not push it through. I have kept it. So the honey and the cinnamon powder, whatever was put, is still there. Now I will cover this cutting. To be on a safer side, you can go up to this level also. I have taken only one node. You can go up to 2 nodes inside. So this is how the cutting would be put. I have kept it in a slanting position because when I water, the water will slide off. It won't stay here. So now I will just water it till the water drains off. After that, every day I will check the moisture and then water. If it is dry, I will just water the pot till this gets just wet. It shouldn't be too much wet. I won't put too much water. I'll just add about 50 ml or something, so that the mud around this cutting will stay moist. If it gets dry, then the plant will die. The plant will not survive, or it won't develop roots. So I'll just water it till the mud gets wet. That's it. So I will continue this for about few days. Just an afterthought, sometimes when you take multiple cuttings, you won't know which end should go inside the soil. So just a clarification, in some cuttings the top point will be known, the growing point. It will be seen. It's very easy to identify. But in this cutting, you do not know which is the lower end and which is the upper end. That means which end should go into the soil. So sometimes it is easy. The lower end will be thicker and the upper growing point in a plant will be thinner. That is one thing. Another thing is, another feature which you should know is the point from where the leaf is coming. From that, these either buds or a branch, something will be coming out from this axil. We call this point from where this is the leaf, this is the node where the leaf is attached. So this is the angle called as axil. From this axil, sometimes either flowers will be coming or some other branch will be coming. So in this axil, if you see, in this axil, inflorescence is coming, buds are coming. So the plant should be like this. Axil, you should make the leaf and the stem should make an angle this way, not this way. This way. It should be upright on the facing upper side. That means this axillary bud should be facing above towards the sky. And if it is like this, most of the times it can be seen, so that is the wrong way. So this is the way the plant should be held. So this will be the lower end, this will be the lower end, and this will be the upper end. Here also, if you can see, the axil has got this leaf inflorescence. It had inflorescence, that is flowers. So this axil is facing upwards towards the sky. So that is the way you hold a cutting which you bring for rooting. So in about 15 days to 20 days time, the plant will root. Sometimes it might take 1 month also. It depends on the plant. Some plants root very fast. Within 15 to 20 days you find rooting. Some plants, they take a little more time. So how do we know that the plant has rooted? The plant stem will stay as it is. It won't change the color. So if it has changed the color to brown, that means the stem has gone. It did not survive. So it will stay green, or the way you put it for rooting. It might shed the leaves, etc., because the plant wants to minimize its energy expenditure. So that is why the leaves will be shed, and the stem or the plant will start concentrating on producing adventitious roots. So once the adventitious roots are put out and they grow, the plant will put out new shoot, new leaves. So that is the indication that the cutting has survived. So once it starts putting out new shoots, the plant can be moved into its natural habitat like full sun, shade, or partial shade, etc. Now the cutting which I have done, Ipomia carnea, it is a full sun plant. So once it develops new shoots will develop at the axil again. So once the new shoots develop, I will shift the plant to full sun. So once the plant starts getting its natural habitat, it will start thriving. So that's all for today. Once the plant shows some signs of rooting and shooting, I will give you an updated video on the plant. We added honey. We kept the stem in honey, dipped it for 5 minutes. The stems are still alive because it's just a cutting which we took a few minutes ago. So the vascular system, the conduction system is alive. Honey gets absorbed through the conduction system and it provides glucose to the stem, and glucose is energy to the cuttings. Not only this, the honey has got auxins in it. The cut end will anyway provoke the plant to produce auxin at the cut end. Honey will add to that. It will support production of auxin at the cut end. Then we sprinkled cinnamon powder on the cut end. Cinnamon powder has got cinnamaldehyde in it. It's a natural chemical constituent. This cinnamaldehyde is a natural fungicide. It is antifungal. When we sprinkle this cinnamon powder, it acts as a natural antifungal agent. It will not allow the fungus to grow on the cut end. Any open wound on the plant is an invitation for infection. So this cinnamaldehyde will act as antifungal and antibacterial to the cut end. We scrape the cut ends of the stem cuttings. When we scrape, it is an injury. The plant will focus all its energy on the cut end. It's like an injury on a human being. For example, when the skin is bruised in a human being, the body starts focusing its attention on the healing of the bruise. Same way in plant also, when we scraped the cut end of the stem, the plant focuses on that cut end and produces auxins, more auxins, so it will help in rooting. The plant will produce adventitious roots and that helps in rooting. So thanks for joining. Take care. Bye.